Hello and welcome back to our board recaps video. This day we'll be recapping our board meetings from October, the 1st of October and the 15th of October. And the purpose of these highlights is to highlight some of the topics of our conversations at our board meetings. So if you want to be informed, you can certainly do so at your convenience. So we'll be sharing with you our recognitions in our Make a Difference portion of our board meeting, and then the items that will be considered by our board in the following three categories. And category one is our information, which is a step one, discussion, which is a step two, and then our action items, which will be our step three. So for October 1, 2018, for those who make a difference in our district, the district recognized Abby Stein, a student at West High, for her work in making a difference in the lives of her fellow peers. Abby and her friends began the initiative of hanging sheets of paper in the shape of hearts on the lockers to highlight suicide awareness at West Rural High School. And most recently, they did this at Jefferson Middle School. Now, these recognitions were presented by Alex Perez, our Director of Community Affairs. So into our step one, information. The school improvement plan for the Blackhawk campus was presented to the board for information by Principal Elroy Phillips. Now, we didn't have any discussion items on the October board meeting, or the October 1 board meeting, but we had a few action items. So the Board of Education approved the presented district and building title plans for the 2018-2019 school year, and those will be submitted to the Illinois State Board of Education for their review. Another action item, this is a little more complex, so I'll take my time a little bit with this one. The Board of Education approved the resolution that provided for the issue of not to exceed $10 million of general obligation limited tax refunding bonds of School District 129. And so the purpose of this was to provide for the levy of a direct annual tax to pay the principal and interest on said bonds and authorizing the sale of said bonds to the purchaser thereof. Means it's a formal way of saying that we're going to submit bonds and that there's a formal process to approve that. So moving on to our October 15 board meeting. The district will be recognized, or did recognize, the Schneider Elementary School for their WINGS, W-I-N-G-S project. And this was presented by the principal of Schneider Elementary, Miss Olivia Smith. We also recognized Herget Middle School and their Parent-Teacher Association, and this was presented by Principal Cindy Larry. So our step one, our information. The school improvement plan for Herget Middle School was presented by Principal Cindy Larry, and she regaled us on all the things that have been happening in the Herget Middle School in terms of student achievement and then some other extracurricular pieces. Another information item, the 2017-2018 Annual Financial Report, otherwise known as the AFR, was presented to the school board for their information, and this was presented by our Director of Finance, Mr. Ryan Abrahamson. We also had a presentation by our Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning, Dr. Sarah Waddell, and this was the balanced numeracy plan for the elementary level, and that was presented to the board for their information as well. We had Dr. Dwyer, who is our Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning. He presented the West Aurora High School course proposals for the 2019-2020 school years, and those were presented as a step one information. Also, there was an update on the recent community events and efforts as presented to the board, and that was presented by our Director of Community Affairs, Mr. Alex Perez. A step two discussion item, the district-wide electricity bid. We go out for bid every 2 or 3 years just to see if we can get the best pricing on our electricity consumption from those providers out there, and so this is a process we go through. And this was presented for discussion to our school board by Mr. Ryan Abramson, our Director of Finance. And finally, we had an action item. This was kind of a fun one. This has been a conversation that's been happening over the previous several board meetings. And at the Board of Education, they approved the district contribution of up to $50,000 for the Joint Hill Elementary School Playground Project. And I say joint because that's a joint project between the class of 1968 alumni group and also the Fox Valley Park District and the District 129 Board of Education. And so that was kind of a fun project that we've been working through. So those are our October 1 and October 15 board meetings. We hope you take a listen and come back to us next month when we'll be talking about our November board meetings. That's all we've got for today.